It is Thanksgiving and we have a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to winter weather. Multiple winter storms are targeting the Midwest and Northeast. And if you're out east, you can expect multiple blasts of cold air from the north as we move into December. Let's get into the weather updates. We're starting off by taking a look at our latest European ensemble. This is the total snow it thinks we're going to see over the next 10 days. So obviously the Rockies looking pretty good up here in the northern plains, but the target area really right now, you could see northern Illinois, northeastern Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, portions of Minnesota, the Great Lakes region, and then inner New England. Although I will say we've seen runs moving the snow a little bit to the south and a little bit to the north here, so we're going to compare the Euro to the GFS moving forward. This is our GFS ensemble for snowfall, and obviously it shifts the snow south. St. Louis on the GFS ensemble has a chance for big snow in the next few days. And then also the GFS wants to put a lot of snow up and down the I-95 corridor. We'll see. I know there's been a big snow drought in that region for quite a while. The most updated European AI ensemble also gives you the chance for snow up and down the coast, not just inland in the Northeast. So this would actually be coastal mid-Atlantic snow, coastal New England snow. Again, though, this is the ensemble, so it's putting a bunch of members together. We're not just looking at one or two control or operational runs. Take a look at the temperature change over the last 24 hours. We're talking 20 to 30 degree changes out east. We currently have a storm system pushing into the Pacific Northwest, bringing a lot of rain to the low elevations and of course snow up into the higher elevations. And then we've got winter storm watches, advisories, and warnings up here through portions of Idaho and Montana, because this system up here is going to start making its way down through the Rockies into the Central Plains and is going to try to put a lot of snow in the Midwest, as we know, over the next few days. We've got blizzard warnings up across the UP and Michigan and winter storm warnings all up and down the west coast of Michigan. And our lake effect snow is still pumping out here in the eastern Great Lakes region, where of course we also have those lake effect snow warnings. A lot of this lake effect snow will continue throughout the day. We have the coldest air from the system still moving in from the north. Let's push a little bit forward now. Get into tomorrow. You can see that cold air continues to sink out east, and some of that snow tries to fly through inner New England. This is going to be some good snow again for the mountains and high elevations out east. You'll probably get a little low elevation snow in inner New England as well. Now, as we get into Saturday morning, we have snow falling through portions of Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, potentially moving into Nebraska, Minnesota, and Iowa. Let's continue to move forward here. We also have some rain down to the south of this system, and this is likely going to come with a little bit of a severe threat on Saturday. As we move throughout Saturday, this snow begins to intensify, our low pressure begins to deepen, and we could see some pretty heavy snow through portions of Iowa, maybe Omaha. Omaha is going to be close right here because that southeastern portion of Nebraska could be a little bit too warm for snow. The consensus right now, though, is that Omaha gets snow, but we'll have a better idea of kind of these areas that are right along this boundary as we get into our short range models. We continue throughout the day, Saturday and Sunday. We're getting snow falling in Des Moines, Minneapolis, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, moving into Chicago. Chicago still looks like it could get some very good snow because it's going to be right on the north end of this low pressure system where you really have the deepest moisture. Pushing into Sunday, this snow begins to move off into Michigan, although we have to watch Indianapolis, Columbus, Cleveland, because you could get some good front end snow, at least on this European run. We'll take a look at the GFS in a second, but you have the cold air out ahead of this system. As it moves through, some of that snow gets replaced by rain because you have some of that warm air forcing itself north. So if you can get good enough snow on the front end, you'll probably still have that accumulation after the system moves through, but it really all depends how far south does that freezing air push? Does it keep that warm air obviously a little bit to the south? We move through Sunday, we get into Monday. This system is moving off to the northeast. Again, this looks like just inner New England snow, and then we could have some rain up and down the coast. Now, as we get into early next week, we're really cold, really across much of the country. You can see our polar jet has just plunged down into the south. Getting into Tuesday, this is where things get interesting. The European model still says, hey, we have a chance for some mid-Atlantic snow. Maybe a little snow into Philly, New York City, Boston. But I will say this has trended up a little bit. This is all warm air right here off the Gulf and the Atlantic. You have that cold air to the north. You really want this jet to be a little bit farther south. Over the last few days, the models have seen this, but continued to kind of bounce this system north and south. Right now, it's still not a bad look for the mid-Atlantic and New England coast, but this would be a close call. But it's my guess that if it were to play out exactly like this warm air would sit over that I-95 corridor. I don't even think this would be good snow for Boston if this played out like this. But let's take a look at the GFS, because the GFS sees something different. And by the way, this right here isn't far out. We're talking 5 to 6 days, so this is getting pretty close to forecasting range here. Now, the GFS also sees this system moving in from the northwest over the next few days as we get into Saturday morning, maybe Friday night, Saturday morning. Flakes start to fly through portions of the northern Rockies, northern plains, maybe northern central plains, and then up there in the upper Midwest, we get some snow down into Iowa, and then the GFS puts some decent snow down into St. Louis. The GFS, I believe, actually has this system getting a little bit farther down to the south. Similar to the Euro, puts the snow a little bit farther further south though. Still good snow for Chicago. The biggest difference between the GFS right now and the European that I see is what happens in this region here. Indianapolis, Columbus, Detroit, Central Illinois look like they could get a lot better snow with the GFS outcome here. And then also our American model tries to throw a little bit of snow out towards the coast ahead of this system as well. So it's pushing this cold air a little bit farther to the south and the east. We move into early next week. That cold air continues to push down to the south, and the GFS thinks maybe we could get snow as far south as Oklahoma City, Tulsa. I do buy that we're going to get very cold air very far south, freezing air very far south. I don't know that we're going to get snow out in this region. I'm not saying it's impossible though, and we're only really looking 114 hours out. So again, this stuff is starting to get within forecasting range. Let's continue to move forward. This actually wouldn't be that great. We'd have a big ice storm through portions of Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, portions of Virginia, Pennsylvania. But watch what the GFS does here. Still gives you a chance for that snow up and down the I-95 corridor. Although I still don't think you guys want this type of snow up and down the I-95 corridor, because this would be followed by ice and then heavy rain, and it would be a mess. To get that good fluffy snow where you're below freezing as the system moves through, we need this low pressure just to be a little bit farther out to the south and east, and we need this cold air just a tiny bit farther to the south. Still possible, although I am leaning towards this is going to be a potentially big inner New England snowstorm. Although we have some opportunities out here. You can see as we move forward on the GFS, our polar jet's setting up in a really, really nice position to put snow down into the mid-Atlantic and New England coast. You have another opportunity here. I've been talking about this. If this first storm doesn't work out for you, December's probably going to give you a few more opportunities. Let's quickly look at our temperatures here over the next 10 days. Obviously, some very cold air is sinking in right now for Thanksgiving. We're talking anywhere from 5 to 20 degrees below average for our Thanksgiving evening. The Ohio Valley is the real winner here, and then up here through portions of the upper Midwest and northern plains, you're pretty cold as well. Moving past Thanksgiving, that cold air actually sinks down into the south, and if you're in the southeast, enjoy this because there are signs that we actually may have a tiny bit of a southeastern ridge as we get into mid-December. We've been seeing it pull away on the models, come back on the models, but enjoy this cold air right here because I don't know how long it's going to last. Moving through Friday and Saturday, this cold air remains out east, and then we get a little bit of a warm up and down the east coast with some very, very cold air diving in potentially through the northern Rockies, northern plains. Texas, this is going to be a big cool down for you. Getting into early next week, watch the eastern seaboard here. This cold blast is just going to shove all of that heat off the coast, and then we're cold out east again, but look at the southeast, still warm down here through portions of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. But again, this is very cold for much of the country. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, another cold blast for the east. You cool down in Florida again. Get out there, enjoy this. Mid-December looks like it may get pretty warm for you guys. And then from here, we're getting sort of into La La Land, pushing into the second week of December. We get a pretty big ridge that wants to build up over the plains and then push out east. But the upper Midwest and New England continue to see some blasts of cold air. I do expect a pretty decent mid-December warm-up. We've been talking about that for a while. This could be the coldest air we've seen all year. Again, end of the model run. We'll see how things adjust. Here's our European Extended Ensemble's 30-day temperature anomaly forecast. Obviously, we're very cold for the majority of people out east. Obviously, Florida, I think, could be slightly above average for the month of December. The beginning of December looks pretty cool for Florida, but then you get into the middle towards the end, and then that's when, again, we could see that southeastern ridge setting up. Northern Rockies, northern plains, Midwest, Ohio Valley, a good portion of the southeast, and then all the way up the eastern seaboard towards the mid-Atlantic and New England. We're looking pretty cold. Not looking too bad out west, especially the southwest. They'll take these below average temperature anomalies if this is what we see in December, but we could be a little bit warm up here in the Pacific Northwest, so we'll have to see about that. Texas, it looks like it's going to be a battle, average to above average temperatures, although I don't know because I've been seeing a trend for a lot of this cold air to actually move in a little bit farther west than originally projected. That could put some colder air into Texas. That could also set up the opportunity for some more winter storms up and down the East Coast, so something to watch as we move forward. Interesting development here. We still see our MJO around mid-December, moving into phase 8. Obviously, that favors a lot of cool air for the plains and out east and can enhance our snow opportunities here in mid to late December. It's looking a little bit de-amplified though. This is a very amplified phase 7, and this means very, very cold air for portions of the upper Midwest and northern plains. Can this amplification hold on a little bit longer as we move into phase 8? That would be nice for you guys out east. We still have the MJO moving into phase 8, obviously for mid to late December, which is good for the east. But again, we want to see this a little bit stronger. I'll continue to update you as we move forward. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post videos like this every single morning, and right after I post them, I hop on live stream to answer all of your weather related questions. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or the live stream.